he took our place, and then they had to rework a little bit of it. That's, the beach committee also didn't meet to do anything.
Mike?
Hi. Are you?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. What's up?
Down up. How are you?
Yeah.
Good. Feel fine.
Yeah.
All right, it being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call the Board of Selectmen meeting to order. First order of business
Okay,
is
cool.
we have work session scheduled
Do you
for
want me to
budgeting.
talk about the money from the CARES grant for the mailing? Okay. All right.
I will,
All right. Bye.
I'll first call up Dennis with the library.
Sure.
Carrie, somebody's coming. Welcome.
Good evening, Dennis.
Good evening.
So I know you took over after the previous person left. Are these numbers in our book up to date with what you've done? Did you make any changes since Pauline came in?
Yes. That is not, I don't think it's,
Okay.
I just, Pat, I gave these out just a few minutes ago.
Oh. I think there's some, is there a file next to the printer?
Oh, yeah, they were in there. I left them in the end. Yeah, you want me to
Okay.
grab them?
They're next to the printer. I thought I saw something there.
Just wanted to make sure we're all looking at the same paperwork before we start talking.
Dennis, on a side note, while we're waiting here, I know the work is scheduled to start upstairs. Did you, were you aware of
Yeah,
that?
in December,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
We gotta move stuff.
I was just gonna say, what's your time frame on moving stuff, and do you have enough volunteers, or?
Probably not. I
Thank
don't
you.
know exactly what needs to be done, be moved. You know. We'll have to-
Yeah. And the other thing that I was curious on, are they gonna use some type of portable heaters or something? Because they're not gonna be able to even paint, never mind plaster up there with no heat.
I don't know what they're gonna do, to be honest with you. You know, I haven't talked to them either.
Okay. Maybe once you do, you could let me know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Compared to what we've done in the past, I broke it down even further. Where the numbers came from. So it's having a lump sum item, it's broken down by positions a little bit.
All right, well, I have one quick question. Right off the back, the very first number, excuse me, on your list is the town appropriation. What you received from the town last year, you have 88,575 on this form?
That's what we're asking for
That's
this
what they're
year.
asking for this year.
Oh.
No, last year we got, I didn't have last.
89,000.
88,168.
No, this current year is 84,852.
Oh, I thought you said last year.
What I meant, like, what they got a couple months ago.
I do not have last year's budget.
That's fine, we have the numbers right here, John. Basically, the numbers are fairly close to what Pauline had given us.
Yeah, there was the insurance for building and contents, that was like 45 something. That's now 0 because the town already has it for all the buildings, so we found that out by mistake. And we've been paying on that insurance for, I don't know how long, for both libraries, and it's been unnecessary.
What?
Yeah, because it's a town-owned building, so the town's insurance covers the building.
Yeah.
And what was it?
But the contents is also included.
Right.
We're not aware of it.
What was that number, Dennis?
Did-
44?
Yeah, it was like, actually, they had 60, the one that Pauline submitted back in, earlier this year, she had $6,500 for insurance.
All right.
And we knocked that down, we were able to knock that down to 0 just by making a couple of phone calls. Thank you, Kerry and Amy, for that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a good catch.
Good catch on your part too, you know, why?
So you knocked down 6,500 there. And it looks like you also
The only thing I'm having a problem with right now, to be honest with you, is the health insurance part of it. And I'm still having issues with that. And I just left the numbers they were last year. I don't want to do what these numbers are. I want to come in under that, but I wanted to be safe than sorry, and you know.
well, like I explained to Pauline, and I'm not sure if it was relayed to the board. We all understand that the only way we're able to get a director there was to offer the health insurance.
That's correct.
But that being said, the town does not offer part-time employees, which the director is, health insurance.
I understand that also.
So we didn't have a problem with anything except that, you know, the board was asking the town to pay part of that insurance, and we were trying to, hoping that Pauline would bring it back to the board and try to find a way to pick that money up somewhere.
Right, and I'm, you know, and if the board comes back to us and say, you've got to keep the last year's budget, we will make adjustments too. I mean, I know everything is tight right now, and, you know, they have a 0 budget increase, that's a, you know, to be honest with you, I was the only one who voted against the budget. You know, when this was presented, or abstained, I forget which.
Well, I'm looking at Pauline's proposal that she handed to us, and the one you had just handed to us, strictly to the town appropriation part of it. And you eliminated $6,500 out of yours, but it only dropped about $1,200 and some change, or $1,300 and some change. I haven't. Dennis, would you like a copy of Pauline's? Do you have
I
that?
have a copy of Pauline's, and I'm, like I said, I was having, trouble trying, this was not done on an Excel spreadsheet either. Neither was mine. I don't know how to use Excel. But I do know that some of the issues that were, like for the payroll expenses, well, where does that all come from? So I made sure I brought that down by putting that on the left-hand side of the column. Then when I added them all up, that total is on the right-hand side of the column. So if you add up the totals on the right, you'll get the numbers at the bottom. In the case for expenses, it goes on to page 2.
Well, the Edith Atkins bequest, that's you have $5,000 less than her, so there's $5,000 of it. I see the income, she had $2,020, you have $1,215, so another $800 there. $800 more on the income and $5,000 more from Edith Atkins.
So right there, if you had put back the 5,000 from Edith Atkins, what you're asking the town portion of the employee health insurance is $5,555.
Correct.
So with your proposal, they knocked $5,000 off of the one Pauline had given us. So if you put that 5,000 back in there, you could bring that down to $555, and then it'd be easier to find $555 to cut than $5,500. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Amy?
Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you guys meet with Abigail on the health insurance? Didn't she say that she was going to do?
And then she came back, that's the last meeting, and we have a meeting with her on Friday. Then she came back to us at the last meeting and says, no, I gotta keep this, what I got. This is like I said, when I said I'm totally confused, I am totally confused. I gotta sit down with her. We really haven't sat down with her, for a host of reasons that we need to sit down with her.
Well, I thought you guys met with her and she agreed to either take option 3 or 4. Because right now, currently, she has the best insurance that we offer.
And she wants to, and when we had the meeting the other week, she said at the meeting she wanted to keep that insurance. Now, right now, we have a planned meeting with her at 9 o'clock on Friday. I don't know what's going to come of that. That's why I want to work on those numbers, definitely, because I'm not happy. But at the same token, I want to be realistic to everybody that this is what we have right this minute. And when I said I want to cut down those numbers, right. And if you come back to me and say you got to keep the same budget as you had last year, and I'll say, okay, we'll have to work. We'll have to find the cuts. That's one of your decisions. I'm not trying, when the insurance part came in, it was one of those things, hurry up and get it yesterday. And then we had approved to the health trust that we were actually a library.
Now, with the Edith Atkins money, the $5,000 difference, was that because the board changed their mind on how much they wanted to use and voted on that, or why did that number change?
Okay, that's still the 20,000 I have here.
It was 25.
Okay, but what I have right here is, what Pauline had was 20.
Yeah.
The one she gives us,
The one we have is 25.
25.
There's one that says 9-4 on the bottom, and there's the one copy that was 9-12.
I have one here, 1019.
Oh, yeah. The one I'm looking at is 912.
Yeah, I have a 912.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I have 9.4.
Do you wanna make copies of this? What, the 19,
Well, I have 9.4, I don't have a 9.12.
no, there's a 1019 here too.
Well, I don't have a 10.19 either.
This is, this thing is got thrown into my lap a little bit, then we had elections and,
Yeah, that's what she gave us for this year.
But it also says, oh, okay, 2021, all right, yep. So those are actually-
She basically gave us last year's budget and said, it with few changes. Right. Because she used the same sheet and just didn't change the date. Because last year's was, with the current year that we're in is 84,852, and this proposal was 89,852.
That says 2021. We're working on 21, 22.
Yeah,
That was last year.
I know, but this is the one that she had given us.
Yeah.
and the one thing that bothers me too is how much money we're taking from the Edith Atkins account. Because the idea was originally just to use interest, and we're not doing interest anymore either.
You're not.
That 20,000 is, I don't know exactly what the interest on that is, but it's a lot more than what we're getting.
The interest is more than the 20,000 that they're using?
Less.
Less.
Oh, less.
I don't know what the exact number is on that. Again, it was.
Now, will that fund allow you by law to use monies other than
That's
interest?
unrestricted money.
Yeah.
It's unrestricted?
That one is.
The Atkins fund is unrestricted.
Okay.
The,
The health trust, excuse me, not the health trust,
The
but the
charity
trust
fund,
funds
right.
is restricted.
interest only.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew there was one of those somewhere.
But again, we can't keep on rating, ideally.
So the difference between the Genesis and Pauline is only about 4,000.
Right, because we, right off the, actually it should be about 6,000 because or 6,500 because of the insurance. At least the one I see right here.
Apparently
anyways,
that's wrong anyway, so.
Took that right off took that off because we already, town's already paying for it. Which also included directors and, officers, insurance on that.
So we're on the same page. What's the one that you're looking at currently? What's the
This-
date on it?
It's this one here.
It's the one I just gave you.
Okay.
There's no date on it.
But it's, okay.
Currently, the one I have has 2 pages to it.
So you'd like them to add that $5,000 back into the Edith Atkins
Oh,
and, okay.
that's up to them, but do you have it in front of you there, Dennis? What's your,
Well, how much in the Edith
Yeah.
Atkins account? I'll be honest, I have no idea. I know it's a,
I may have it right here.
I had some of those.
There you go. Just-
You find it?
Well, there's a couple here, I'm not sure.
Edith Atkins is a,
558,171 as of end of September.
this one, I have October 12th is, 5544,199.65.
All right.
So we're about the same.
Carrie, does it show the interest earned?
And at the same time, we've also got a new bookkeeper. So everything's,
1,670,
What was it?
$1,670.
for the month or for the quarter?
Is the month.
So you are taking a little bit more out than.
Yeah. and
Maybe that's where the 20,000 came from, you know? That'd be about what you're getting annually then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
times 12, that's about
Yeah.
20,000.
Now, Dennis, what's the reasoning why you think the director's hours are gonna almost double next year from what this year are?
The hours,
Yeah, how many hours a week? Right now, currently, it says 20 hours a week, 20.6, and it's going up to, your proposed is 32, so it's not quite
well,
doubling,
well,
but
she should be doing 32 hours a week, because that's what we're paying her for.
is she salary or hourly?
I believe she's hourly, but and that's part of the thing, and it's part of what we're talking about on Friday too.
Because that's I mean,
Because
that makes,
part of that's gonna be,
that makes that line go up pretty good, between 12 extra hours a week plus a 3% pay raise on top of that. That adds up quick.
Yeah, but I believe that's, I don't have, I don't know, last year's numbers were broken down, because they weren't broken down.
Yeah,
So I don't know what her numbers were.
all I've got here is 20.6 hours a week for the current year we're in.
And without looking at W-2s and stuff like that,
Right,
I don't have,
yeah. I wasn't sure if there was new programs coming on that you expected to have the need for the 12 extra hours a week.
well, she should be at 32 anyways, that's basically what we're paying her for.
So this
So-
meeting Friday with her, you're gonna go over these hours and health insurance?
Yeah, the meeting with Friday is the review, and what expectations, and that's like, I'm caught between, and if you tell me to come back, I can do that too.
That's what I'm thinking we ought to do.
Yeah,
Wait till your meeting Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, the last, the budgets in the past, they haven't broken, the payroll expenses, they never broke those down. And I don't know why, but, and I don't know if I did it the proper way or not.
well, the Saturday meeting, is that this Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's this Saturday. Well, So you'd have to meet with her Friday, come up with your numbers
Yeah,
Friday,
and, you know,
and then we won't have a chance to look at them and vote on it before the budget committee sees them.
but if you know, what I would love to have is everybody being 5-0. The Board of Trustees, the Board of Selectmen, and the Budget Committee. That's my goal for, you know, being submitted to the town. Everybody agrees on it. And right now, I don't think everybody agrees on it, including some members of the Board of Trustees.
Well, in theory, it should be, $12,000.
Right.
Left.
But I can't, you know, we can't, in theory,
well,
so
we
the
took-
two ways of looking at it, yeah, in theory, it should be $12,000 less.
Because we took the 6,500 out,
Yeah,
and then it's 55 for the housing insurance to the town portion, which, you know, the town, we don't give,
I understand, you know, again, we're in a,
I know it's all new to you over there also.
and I'm trying to figure out exactly, okay, does the whole thing come out, you know, come out of the Edith Athens? And that could happen too, like we did I believe that's what we did last year.
Yeah, and that's up to your board.
Right, but then again, the money's, you know, like, if he's telling us this is what you're gonna give us, make it work, that's what we'll have to do. You know, and
Now, wait a minute, because according to my main paper here, it says the request is 92,000, and Dennis's paper is 88.5. What, are you requesting the 88.5?
I'm requesting the 88.5. The numbers are here right now, is what I'm asking for the Board of Selectmen to approve.
So
Understanding that I'm working on the insurance part of it.
the $3,000 increase over last year.
Dennis,
Yes, yes.
on, the last year's budget, you had 5,000 fuel oil. I don't see that on here, on the new one at all. It's in the, up near the payroll.
I have 7,500 for fuel oil on mine.
The one he just handed out?
No, the one from Pauline.
Oh, yeah, we're not even looking at the one for Pauline, because those numbers aren't what they voted on last.
It's not even on this one
Yeah,
that
'cause they had met again.
The one that he just handed out is the numbers we're looking at, 'cause it's the last budget they voted on. Yeah, there's nothing,
yeah, that's missing.
Okay.
there's no expenses higher than 5,000 except for payroll. Which that can be a major, that'll be a game changer too. Well, I mean, unless something major changes, I don't see where it's unjustified for the $3,700 increase. Most of that's sucked up in payroll. Dennis is in the understanding, as well as the Board of Selectmen, that we'd like to see that 55 come out for the insurance. However, if he's gonna be he's gonna have to add in fuel oil money somewhere, so that's gonna offset that.
Well, no, not really, because, they had removed the 6,500 for the insurance.
Yeah, but that's,
So what I'm.
so you're still comparing to this paper.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because
All I'm
we're just
comparing-
looking at these numbers right here.
Right, this number here
Right,
is minus the 6,500. What I'm saying is.
Right, and that's-
They had removed that, and they could, and it was only a difference of $1,000 from last year's proposal for the oil. So you could put that back in, the 6,500 back in this proposal, and that would cover your oil,
Right.
all right? So then it wouldn't be that big of a, mix-match, because you're just flipping one from the other.
Well, you could do the same with the town portion of insurance cost too. If we take the 55 out, but add 5,000 for the oil, you still.
Yep, that's,
So I'm just saying, I'm fairly confident in the 88,575. That's the current request. I think the 4.4% increase will cover the increase in salaries, and the rest of it will work itself out in the wash. It's looking like.
Yeah. And if there's any major changes between now and after, after we talk on Friday, when I give to the budget committee, I'll make sure that I'll leave copies here for you guys also.
well,
Okay.
yeah, so basically, you take the town portion of the 55 and move that to a line item for oil. But
Right.
that still leaves your board of, you have to figure out where that 55 is gonna come up
Yeah,
for the insurance.
okay.
And that's for you guys to decide.
Amy?
On the salary, based on what Pauline gave you guys for a breakdown with a 3% increase, on paperwork that he gave you, he didn't round up to the nearest dollar. It's like all over the place. So rounding up to the nearest dollar, there's $2,564 extra just in the salary part.
Okay, so there's another 2,500 extra budgeted in here?
Yes, based on giving them a 3% increase based on the hours worked, which is in your documentation on that board.
Yep.
If you look under the proposed for 21, 22, if you look at the salary for the director, her salary was 37, 173. They indicated on the paperwork 3,800.
Right.
$826 difference. So it's not rounded up to the next dollar, it's rounded.
So Dennis, you understand that?
Yeah, no, I did I rounded up just to make whole dollars versus having cents.
But you didn't round up to the next dollar, you rounded up more.
Yeah,
Okay.
So what you can do is you can readjust the bottom line of your total wages to the actual,
Do I use
and
that?
then you could take that money and add it to the line item of the 55.
Okay.
And that would give you more than
you
enough
just,
oil.
you just made up for more than half of cutting that line.
Right.
But still, at the end of the day, that the requested 88,575 should work.
I'll make a motion to approve that, 88,575.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
I understand how frustrating it can be jumping in the middle of something right at the very end of the timeline. So, and just make sure that you get an updated copy for the budget committee.
Yes, it will.
And I will explain to them as well as you can, because I'll be there too.
Okay.
That this is the number we approved as a select board based on the numbers we had at the time, but that after a couple meetings and some recalculations, this is the new number.
Quickly on a different note, I'd like to thank everybody for their help in the elections this past November, a few weeks ago. It was a tremendous help, and we were able to get it done without having too much headache compared to some other areas.
Yep.
We're out and we had our numbers and everything was all wrapped up on Wednesday. But I'd also like to thank the school for what they did, close the school down for us and everything they did to help that election.
I did go to the next school board meeting, and I did publicly thank them for all their support and all their help in making the elections run as smooth as they did.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yep.
I don't follow pretty straightforward.
Rick, you're up. We might make this real short and sweet on you here, Rick. I know that it's gonna hurt your feelings terribly. But in the water, there's a slight increase of
$296.
$296. And the sewer is actually a decrease of, is it, it's more than 400 on mine.
Yeah.
389 down to 375. That's like a 13,000 something dollar decrease. So I'll entertain a motion to approve both the water and sewer.
So moved.
Any other discussion on those? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming in, Rick. Good work. Talked us right into that one.
You want to give Dale some pointers on how to budget?
So just show us a $14,000 decrease every year, and it'll be quick every year. The town beach is the only other one we have to do. My recommendation is going to be to level fund it with what was this current year's at the $33,851.
Make that a motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Motion carries. That's all of them, ain't it? Huh, that's a good feeling. We're a little bit early, so we might as well get started on the regular meeting because that folder is huge from taking a week off. And as we'll go in order here like normal. First order of business is we have some minutes to approve. We have minutes from last night's meeting with the budget committee, and we have minutes from the Saturday meeting that we had, which was November 14th. I apologize for that. And then last Wednesday's meeting, or 2 Wednesdays ago, was November 4th.
Can we do them separately because James wasn't here for the one last night?
Okay, so the one last night we'll do first, November 17th.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries 4 with 1 abstention. And then Saturday, November 14th and Wednesday, November 4th.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. I'll get those all signed after. So as Dennis mentioned, the first week of December, Stebbins Painting will be starting work at the Conant Library. It sounds like he may need some help moving things around and whatnot, so if so, and Kerry, if he contacts you and says that he needs some extra help, you can just let us know so we can figure out somebody to go over and help him out. Next week is Thanksgiving, and we typically don't have a meeting the night before. And we're wondering if we want to do no meeting next week, or maybe possibly do a meeting on Tuesday night rather than Wednesday, just so we don't end up with another folder like this in 2 weeks. How's the board feel about that? Would you like to meet on Tuesday or not have a meeting at all?
I'd rather meet.
I'd rather meet.
Yeah. All right, so we'll post a meeting for Tuesday, the 24th at 7 o'clock. And just let everybody know that there will be no meeting on Wednesday. As an FYI, we did announce that there's a opening on the broadband committee. So it is posted. If anybody knows anybody that would like to be on the broadband committee, contact Carrie and she will get the paperwork to them. Also, this Saturday, November 21st at 9 o'clock is the budget committee meeting to meet with all the department heads. So that's an FYI for everybody in the public. And also, are any of the other selectmen planning on coming to this? If so, is it enough that Carrie's going to have to post it as a meeting? I mean, I'm going to be here because I'm on the budget committee.
I might be, yeah.
I'll be working, so.
Was anybody else planning on coming or no? No, I wasn't. No? Okay, so as long as it's just me and James, then we won't have to post it as a meeting, so just be 2 people here. Next in the pile is, and this was just put in right before the meeting, but the broadband committee did get us the survey that they would like to send out. I would like to, because obviously everybody hasn't had a chance to read this yet, have they?
No.
No. So, yeah.
Sure, I'll take one, thank you.
You want to speak on it?
Did you want to speak on the survey, or? All right, well, it's fairly short, so let's just take a couple minutes here to read it.
Looks like it covers everything.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we're down to 10 questions because SurveyMonkey will let us do it for free if we only had 10 questions.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it covers everything, and if you hadn't have printed the directions in there to figure out the answers for the first 3, I would have no clue how to figure that out, so that was definitely a good thing to put in there.
Do we need a motion to approve this?
Yeah, we'll need a motion to approve it and have Carrie work with them on how to get them done and mailed.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who do we have print them? Is that, do we print them off, or do you guys have them print off for us?
Yeah, we didn't discuss that part before, so, yeah, I mean, we,
Would work out better because the way the direct works.
Yeah.
I have enough for each
Group.
so I print them off with the exact number for every group, so
Sweet.
it would be that.
and you would be able to print the label and everything.
Copies, you guys sit there and count them all out.
Right. But you still need us to come fold them?
I'm sorry.
Still need us to come fold them?
Yes.
Yes, folding would definitely be, help folding would be the
Yeah.
biggest help. I mean, Carrie can get them printed and she,
Let us know.
because your program will automatically print the label and everything on them too at the same time. Right, right. So Carrie would be able to get them all printed for you. We would just definitely want some help folding.
Right, so just let us know when they're done and we'll
Right.
make plans to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we found budget line, we found money somewhere for pay for this.
Yeah, 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 we discussed that.
So the Broadband Committee would actually like to request that the money be taken out of the CARES Act, the CARES grant.
Not for the town, we can't. Our contract ended already on that grant.
No, it expires December 30th.
No, the contract, we, that's why, that's what the public hearing was on.
So then the one that is the December 30th deadline, did we not file for that one? You want me to send it to you? Cool. Yep. Okay, yeah, no, I could send that grant over to you, definitely. There's one that expires December 30th, specific to computers and money for a broadband expansion and like masks and sanitizer for the town and things of that nature. There's also a line item in there for relocation of people that are homeless, that are displaced because of COVID, as well as overtime pay for our ambulance and police officers and things of that nature.
Yeah, because the, part of the CARES grant that we were part of, we had that public hearing on, and we had to sign a contract on, and that ended October 15th.
Okay,
So,
cool.
all right, the motion is there to approve this and send it out. No other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Thank you very much. Good work.
Thank you.
And Carrie will be in contact with you guys, so when they get done.
I know when you want them in, but when we do
Oh, yeah?
when we want to have printed the
Okay, all right.
Because like I said, we want them back, we want to give people enough time to fill them out and return them.
Yep. All right. All right, thank you. Next is a intent to cut. No motion needed on this. This is for map 7, lot 17, which is on Old Hinsdale Road, or off of Old Hinsdale Road. Next, we have a water and sewer abatement that was tabled. Jack had some questions on it as far as the time frame, because the abatement was requested because the business had to close, was closed because of COVID, and the time frame numbers are here. Did you read these numbers, Jack? All right. Did you have any other questions on this or any recommendations or?
Well, I think we need to follow the supervisor's recommendation.
Yeah, the supervisor denied it because it's out of his jurisdiction to authorize this type of abatement.
Well, Rick, what I would like to know on this, I mean, this is kind of a unique situation because we have three, you know, they're getting billed for three with only one shut off. So obviously they couldn't call to have their water shut off because then their residence has no water. They didn't use water at either of the two businesses. So what do we do in the future to, you know, do we need to start installing, if there's three, I feel if there's three, if they're gonna get charged for 3 hookups, they should have 3 meters, I guess. I don't know how.
Again, this is a relatively newer installation. The ability to do that was not done at that time. My opinion, because of, you know, financial reasons to put 3 separate services in. So this is a typical application all across New England because when people try to adapt say a single dwelling into multi-use, this is what happens. You're not expecting to make 3 taps. You're gonna have to pay us for 3 connections, and we usually, you know, grant that, you know, exceptions and let them have the 2 billable units. So that's how this was, you know, how it started. It started way before I came here. I can tell you we did, you know, because this came up, we even reached out to Althea, and, you know, it happened even before Althea was working for the water department, that these billable units, you know, whether it was, you know, if it was 2 units or 3 units, whatever, however they came up with that decision, if it was a livable unit or a business, which was a billable unit, how the town developed that. But I know we just followed other towns. That's what it's, you know, it's been approved by the state, our, you know, our billing practices. So unfortunately, that's what it is. That's how we do it. It's not, economically, it would not be logical to, you know, go around and try to put in separate services into, you know, if we have a dwelling that has 4 livable units, putting in 4 services, I mean, they're just not gonna, the owners are not gonna incur that cost. And that's where the cost lies on to them. So that's what the problem is. You know, it's just.
But if this, say this was an apartment house with 4 units, is there 4 separate meters there?
No, there's only one. We do not do sub-metering. I mean, just like no other community does. Keene doesn't do sub-metering. If someone wants to do sub-metering, that's their business. They can do sub-metering. They can separate, which some landlords do that. They'll sub-meter, put their own heating systems in. Everything gets the new electrical services. They divide everything out. Water's a little bit, you know, not easily done as those other 2 utilities are. So that's why I think you find out that's not done typically out in the field for other, you know, municipalities. Because here again, you got to excavate the road, sidewalks, properties. It's quite a bit tap to main. There's a lot, you know, quite a bit of expense involved in it. But I can tell you, I can assure you, this practice is done all over New England and most of the country that's had older water systems installed, you know, that's been in place for over 100 years. Whereas, you know, go back out west where things were newer and it's a grid system and everything was, you know, done as, you know, earlier, you know, newer, then probably the codes are a little bit different than, you know, than we have now. Unfortunately, it's not a perfect world. I mean, again, this application had the opportunity to do that at that time. They made 2, which again, we're just following our practices to try to be fair to all our customers, whether it's a commercial account or, you know, a residential account, and that's how we, you know, we see this account. As far as being related to COVID, I don't know how that applies. That's out of my, you know.
Right.
You know, there is some, you know, I believe there is some, you know, justification to that. I just don't know how it applies to, you know, the water and sewer utilities and us collecting, you know.
Now, are you confident that the dollar amount requested is just what the business was billed and not?
I'd have to look at, it's lingered. Can we?
So it's definitely a percentage of what they're.
Because they're still living there, yeah.
Right.
there's no simple math here, Matt.
Yeah, well, that's what I was seeing
Yeah,
too.
don't
I mean,
see
I
that.
could see that
Yeah,
it was,
I can
it's
just-
not what their full bill normally,
No, it is not.
normally
I can
is,
just-
so.
If he's looking at the, just looking at the, so basically, that's pretty much, he's looking to abate the connection fees for the water and the sewer for the both businesses, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah,
Yeah, he just wanted to remove those fees for the, yeah.
for just the businesses, but they still paying their
Well,
connection
usage
fee
was
on
there,
the,
The
obviously, for
usage
the
is,
house.
yeah, right, because.
they're paying the usage and the connection
And that,
fees for
and again,
the,
that doesn't show, right, it's not an application that there's a lot of water usage, so you're not gonna be able to make any determination by the amount of usage, because that's pretty much.
Whether or not they were using water at either
Right,
business.
again, as far as we're concerned, our policy, the water's available, the sewer's available for them to use there. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not a perfect world. If it was an application, we could shut the water off, the water would have gone away for that, if it had three, basically, like, we do have some businesses were set up like that in town. They had their own separate shut off for, if there was three businesses in there, you could shut one off and it would go away that way. And this is not the case here.
right. And I agree, in a perfect world, that would have been a great
Right.
way to work around it.
And again,
but-
I just like to explain, I mean,
Right.
I understand this customer feels slighted a little bit by this, but I can assure you that, like I said, this is not an unstandard practice. This is very common practice using water and sewer utilities. in New
So now,
England.
like, even moving forward though, say somebody was to do this today, somebody was gonna put
We're
up-
gonna make them,
it
oh,
would be
absolutely,
free, yeah.
right, they have to, right, either that, if it's a larger meter application, I mean, there are different, there's different applications, whether it's a senior housing or a nursing home. or-
Sure.
There are some, but if it was, someone was gonna put in like, a duplex or something, put two water, we would tell them to put in two services, that would be the recommendation. And again, some of it goes outside of my authority, if they go to the board and say, because these applications do come to the board, and the planning board doesn't look at them also.
Okay.
I mean, my personal feeling is that it was definitely unfortunate for many small businesses that they had to close when they were deemed non-essential, when the governor shut down a lot of things, and we as a board did go out of our way for the few restaurants we have in town and to go above and beyond what the normal practice is to try and help them survive. I mean, I myself think that we should abate it, $211.55, and I just, unfortunately, because of the shutdown, they had to close, and they had no money coming in off either businesses.
I agree, I think that we should, but my reasoning would be, Rick, as you're well aware, we've had issues in the past, and it almost went to legal battles over similar cases. So I would think that if we strayed past that, how we approved or denied abatements in the past, that could come back to haunt us.
And again, we've done this, we abate things out, typically some circumstances we don't, and others we do.
Yeah.
Per the
Right.
case that the board reviews.
Like Ben
Right.
said, $211, we should, that shouldn't be an issue.
Right, and these are,
And I don't think the
responsible-
money is an issue,
Right.
as far as town it is. What
Exactly,
we've
we're
done in
just-
the past
Yeah,
is,
just try to be fair to all the, so we, we're consistent with our message and how we bill everybody. Unfortunately, sometimes there has to be some exceptions to our policies. I'm quite aware of that.
Yeah, and like I said, my biggest reasoning is it's not like they just close down to go on vacation and want the town to not charge them for it. I mean, the governor told them, you cannot open.
Right.
Close down, you cannot open. Their hands were tied. I'll make a motion to approve the abatement.
I'll second that.
And I think, like I said, I think we should, but is it gonna come back to haunt us?
I don't think it will.
Well, maybe this was before you were on the board, but.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm fairly familiar with what you're talking about. I just think because of the circumstances of this particular incident,
All right, yeah,
and,
if you feel comfortable, no.
yeah. Shannon, you seconded that?
I did.
All right, any other discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'm gonna stay out of it because of the
Yeah,
relationship.
yeah. James said before he was gonna, abstain from voting on that. So it's 4-0, 1 abstention. Okay, next we have 2 oaths of office. The first one is to the Conant Library for Jennifer Bennett, and the second one is to the Zoning Board for Mike Doherty.
I'll make a motion to approve both of those.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Oh, next we have, now this paperwork for the Federal Service Desk Carry. This is yearly,
That's our yearly, Sam's government done stuff.
yeah. Yeah. And everything's the same, got Carrie as the town administrator listed. So we just need a motion to approve this.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. There's only room for 1 signature for mine, so I signed it. Oh. Oh yeah, next is an authorization form for that just giving, permission for New Hampshire solar development, to move forward with working on the, landfill property.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. It only has room for 1 signature. I'll sign that after and not take up time. Next we have the water and sewer warrants. The water is $129,037.87, and the sewer is $97,271.69.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Is there a second page to sign on this, Carrie? Just one? Next, we have, payment for Tim Howard. This is on the Richmond Road project. The current payment due is $427,855.62.
Don't seem enough, does it?
I need a motion to approve this.
Make a motion to approve.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Again, this only has room for 1 signature, and there's 5 copies of it, so I will sign all those later too.
I was gonna ask something about that, Rick, and maybe Dale Dale's probably gonna get stuck doing it, I believe, but they pushed a pretty good pile of stumps across the road into the Musterfield Park.
Bruce is gonna take care of those, I believe.
Okay,
I think all made arrangements with Lenny when they go in and finish off.
okay. All right, thank you.
All right, next we have, Avatar got back to us with our equalization rate. It went up a little bit to 98.5%. And last year it was 94.6%. So we just need to approve this and sign this.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Just the one page for everybody to sign at the back. Next, we got a thank you letter from the law offices of Brian T. O'Neill. Says, I want to thank your team of Dennis, Connor, Teresa, and Kevin, and the letter is to Jim Tatro, for assisting me in my duties for the Democratic Party at the recent elections. This was my first trip to your town, and all of you made me feel completely welcome, and as we worked through the election. I was very impressed with the professionalism shown by them to each member of the community and to me as they efficiently worked their way through the various tasks that had to be accomplished before they could turn in the election results. Each person was very helpful in explaining the process of the vote, and particularly the absentee ballots that were subject of much discussion before the election. Please give them my thanks for educating me and making my role as a legal challenger most enjoyable. So, yes, definitely thank you again to these people plus everybody that worked that day. It may help make everything run so smoothly. Next in here we have the town's portion of, the town's education tax, the portion that we pay to the state. It's gone down actually from $2.08 where we're currently paid down to $1.825. This brings it down to, it's the 504, right, Carrie? The 504,737 in the middle of the page, that's the number? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're required the sum of $504,737. We don't need a motion on that, though. That's just an FYI, right? Nothing to sign on that. Next in here, we have a very lengthy update from the health officer. Basically what I mean, I can read the whole thing, but it's going to take a while.
You should have read it.
Huh?
I said we all should have read it.
Yeah. Basically what she's requesting from the board is to come up with some sort of plan to determine if and when we need, or when I should say, well, she said if but when, we need to close down the buildings to the public again, and that would also include coming up with when to reopen again at the end, what we would look for criteria there. And we need to figure out, if we would go back to, if we did close down the building, the public again, if we're gonna continue to do things the way we did them last time, or if there's any changes that we'd like to see happen this time around, and ways to, especially this time of year, now that winter's coming, the highway departments and water guys are gonna be out plowing and cleaning hydrants and stuff, so we'd have to definitely make sure that we put some sort of policy together that would cover all of the needs of the town, both the members of the public and the employees. And if we wanted to release any type of suggestion to people for the holidays, I know the CDC and the governor's office we're talking about holiday travel, and I mean, they've already put restriction, or not restrictions, but requests that if you travel out of state or out of New England, to quarantine and things like that. But that also means if you have family travel in from out of New England, it's the same thing. So do we want to put together some sort of, either just a posting on the website or some sort of mailer, or just make a newsletter? Yeah. Yeah, because not everybody, only, I conservatively guess a third of the population uses the internet, and I think a newsletter would definitely get out to everybody. So do we want the health officer to work on a mailer to get mailed out here real soon, since Thanksgiving's next week?
I think it's a little too late for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I would
honestly,
I would like to get it out before Thanksgiving and just have it as a, have her write it as a holiday recommendation. We do have 3 big holidays coming up within the next month and a half here, so if people get it before Thanksgiving, then great. If not, it is, like I said, a little too late, but hopefully they're watching the news. Well, hopefully they are, hopefully they aren't. So I would like to see Margaret put together something and get it mailed out pretty much as soon as possible.
Stating what?
Stating,
The obvious?
I mean, I think the most important thing is what we're gonna do here. You
Right.
can put guidelines and restrictions on travel for people, and they're gonna do what they want. I mean,
yeah, I mean, even at this point, I mean, everything's a recommendation.
yeah.
Nothing's mandated, but,
That's what's dictated by the state anyway.
right. But it's pretty much just helping the people that might not know and might not think about that kind of, that, like,
Yeah, it's not just about travel, it's a multitude of things.
right.
Do you honestly think 10 months into this, people don't know by now?
I think some people think that because the numbers started dropping there for a while, so I think some people are still under the assumption that the numbers are still low and going down and don't realize that it's spiking again.
But my point being, Ben, is those are the same people that are gonna use this piece of paper to light the wood stove.
It's very well possible they could be using it to light the wood stove, but
It's, you know,
I
you
still-
can't
I get it, but I also,
force people to do something that they,
right,
you know.
but I still feel obligated to, at least get the word out to them.
You know, control what we can control, like James said, this building here. we can control that. We can't control people's living rooms.
Right, right. We can't control what they do and do not do, but we can at least get word to them that this is what the recommendation is. We're not telling you that you have to do it like this, but please think safely if you do have guests coming.
Yeah, I just think that it's in every newsprint, it's in every radio ad, it's TV, it's, you know, unless you're living underneath a rock somewhere, you haven't heard about recommendations like you said from the CDC or from the federal government, the state government, as far as that goes. But I do think that we,
Well, if we're gonna put a newsletter together, put it in there. I mean, put it in there, and it's
Yeah.
not like it's
It's a
gonna.
recommendation
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the leaders of the town that we,
Right,
Yeah.
you know, that we're throwing out there, and that's what we should have.
yeah. And I do feel, I haven't seen the numbers in the last couple days. Carrie, do you happen to know what the
One of our cases here in town, but I don't know.
the last 4 days, the state numbers overall have dropped every day. But they increased in the last 10 days prior to that. Every day they were,
Yeah, 'cause I know they're,
The state's increasing, not decreasing.
yes, in the last 4 days, it's state, according to Channel 9 News. Take it with what you want.
well, I know they're doing an average over 14 days because testing results are taking so long to get and all the other variables, so they're doing an average over 14 days. Lindsay, do you happen to know what that percentage number is at right now? I know the school was following it.
I do not know. I know that as of Thursday, at our last board meeting, the average rolling daily number, sorry, I wrote it down, was over 11 and still climbing.
Right. Yeah, and I do remember seeing something the next morning that said it was 11.9 or something like that. It was just under 12, because I remember it was quite a bit more than what the number was that the school had found that day, Thursday, and by Friday it was almost 1 point higher, 1 full point higher. I mean, I would honestly, as much as I don't want to, I would like to possibly starting Monday, close the town hall back down to the public until numbers start to drop. I mean, we don't have a plan in place for that as of right now, but we can work on one and get one in place. I don't see the numbers dropping overnight, so I see us having a little bit of time to get that plan in place.
Well, if you're gonna put it in that newsletter, we gotta.
Well, we're just gonna put it, we would just put in the newsletter that as of Monday, November 23rd, right? Yeah, 23rd, the town buildings will be closed to the public again, and list the same information you had before, for curbside, over the phone, email address, make sure email addresses are all on there. And the town website that they can watch for updates if they do use the internet.
Are we gonna limit the number of people at the meetings then?
Well, I think we're probably going to have to go back to the same thing we did before, is ask all the boards that if they don't have to meet, to not meet, unless they want to meet through Zoom or some other platform. But if they need to meet in person, if it's an important meeting that needs to happen, then we got to let them got to let the meetings happen. We'll probably, if we can keep our meetings short, we should be okay. But if it gets to be that they're getting drawn out for too long, then to limit the exposure time, we may have to go back to the recommendation of taking out the public comment to shorten up the meeting times. But I don't think we I don't want to take that out right off, but if it gets to a point that it's dragging out a meeting, then, and making a meeting longer and making the exposure time more, then we might have to do that again. I mean, does the rest of the board feel the same?
Well, like I said, we can control the building, I agree with that, Shannon and I talked about it last week. And I'm glad you brought it up, but that's as far as I agree.
Yep. So Carrie, if you could let Margaret know all that tomorrow, and then contact, talk to Jim and everybody else and let them know. That way everybody knows that as of Monday, it's going back to curbside and telephone. And I know it's cold out now, so that's gonna be a little bit more challenging, but unfortunately we can't control the weather too. All right, Dale. Time to pick on you for a little while. So we have a few quotes here for a loader, so I'm guessing you're thinking about warrant articles, which we knew was coming because the loader definitely didn't get any better in the last year. I see you have four quotes here, right? The first one's from Equipment East. And this is on a Doosan. I never even heard of that before. For $123,890. And then you got a John Deere from
North Tracks.
Yep. For $138,370. And then some other thing I've never heard of, SDLG wheel loader.
Oh, no, that's the Volvo. Top one's Volvo, not John Deere.
Oh, Volvo, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
I looked at the trade-in for the John Deere.
Yeah.
Top one's a Volvo, this next one down's a SDLG.
Yeah,
What is that?
it's a Ugandan loader.
It's a what?
Comes from Uganda.
Nuganza?
Yeah.
Sounds reputable.
It was, Volvo took them on to compete against the Hyundais and the Samsungs and all the other Chinese machines. Basically, it's a lower end loader.
Yeah, well, that one's $97,000, so it's $40,000 cheaper, so.
Yeah,
And then the last one was on a John Deere.
that's the John Deere.
And that one was for $144,785.
Yes. The John Deere went from 133 last year to the 144 this year.
Yep.
The Volvo went from 121 to 133 this year. I can't tell you a lot about the SDLG other than, what I've looked up online and talked to the salesman a little bit. The way they compare them is, the SDLG's a 10-year machine and the Volvo and the John Deere are a 25-year machine. Doosan, I talked to the guys over in, the park over there that they're building. Stone Mountain Park.
Yeah.
They were running a couple of Doosans and they liked them. They said they were all right, but they don't believe that's a long-term machine either, so.
Yeah, the only problem I had there, not knowing them, was availability on parts or, type of warranty that they had.
Yeah. Well, the same with that SDLG. That'd scare me right to death buying that machine.
Yeah, anytime you start to get that Chinese knockoff stuff, you're parts
Yeah, you
availability.
start getting away from anything even close to name brand or
Yeah,
compatible.
they don't have to support the thing for only so many years, and then you're,
Now, the Volvo is the same one that you looked at last year,
Yes.
and they carried basically the same, trade-in, and they carried that over, didn't they?
It went down a little. I think-
5,000, I think.
Yeah, I think they both did. The John Deere went down on the Deere and.
Yeah, well, the Volvo one says 26,000 they're giving us for trade-in.
That's what it was last year.
You know, and.
I think it was 31 or 30, or
For, what's that?
Last year.
last year's trade, they were gonna give you about 30 or 30.
Yeah, right around 30.
Yeah, they want to give us 26 and John Deere wants to give us 25.
Right. So the prices increased 10,000 on the Deere, 16,000 on the Volvo. And we've thrown $7,200 more into our old one.
So,
And right now it's needs a $10,000 brake job.
Just put your bucket down. The lease program for either the Volvo or the John Deere, you have the numbers lined out?
I believe they had.
One of them didn't have the numbers yet.
Probably the John Deere hadn't had them yet.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
When will they be getting something for you?
They would, I mean, they can probably have them for next week or something, I'm sure. But,
You can? You
Yeah.
have them for next Tuesday?
yeah, should be able to. You know,
So
I'd hate to say, you know, that we have a John Deere. It's been a really good machine for all these years. You know, it's been the last 3, 4 years, 5 years that it's really started to fail. So I kind of favor the John Deere, but, you know, Volvo's right there with it, you know, and it is $10,000 less money, but, I don't know.
Yeah, and Volvo you
But
can
I'm not-
still get parts for, and
As a taxpayer, would never support one of them Chinese ones. I just couldn't do it. Because I know how long this stuff is here for.
it's not a huge, I mean, one of them was $40,000 less, but you get what you pay
Get
for.
what you paid for.
You get what you pay for.
So will you get that information for us?
Yes,
Nortrack?
yes.
Okay. And we have the information for the Volvo.
The Volvo, everything.
Yeah,
is
the
there.
Volvo information was in there.
Well, the Volvo was, $5,000 or $6,000 less than a John Deere?
Oh, no.
10.
10.
10, okay,
I was just looking at the lease programs.
yeah,
Yeah, it was 10,000 less.
John Deere has.
oh, okay. I thought it was
11.
140 and 146, I
No,
thought.
133.
133 and 144.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can get that information for
Well,
us.
my point was, I know you've been dealing with Nortrax for a long time on this one. Maybe if you went to them with the numbers on the Volvo, they would, I don't know if they're gonna move 11,000, but,
They won't. I've already
Yeah.
asked him that. He
Yeah.
said, we can't move that much. There's just no way he can do it. And, you know, and when I ask these guys, you know, like John Deere doesn't offer, they didn't get the municipal
Contract.
contract
Bid.
this year.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can't offer us that big municipal discount. This year, last year and this year, it was Volvo. You know, next year it could be Cat. They don't give that municipal stuff to all the dealers. That's how they split it up so that everybody gets a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So Volvo has that municipal stuff this year.
Dale, did you, get any information, we had spoken, about a lease program, and at the time, we thought it was Chapel. Were you able to talk to Harvey down here?
No, I have not.
If you get a moment
Yeah.
from now until next Tuesday, could you get that information, please?
Yeah, that's what the state does. They just keep rolling them over. They never own them.
Right. I don't know if I told you or not, but, the state, and we're not even sure if they still offer this, correct?
I almost think they do.
Okay, well.
I find it hard to believe that anybody's gonna rent a machine off the hour meter, but if,
That's what they do with the state.
That's what they did with the state for
Okay.
years.
Yeah, so I did tell,
But you gotta remember, the state, you know, I don't know how many they have,
Right.
I mean, they've got one in every district, or
Yeah.
every couple districts. What they did, they rented them off the hour meter for the state.
Which was a great program. You know,
And you never knew, and you know what, dealing, talking with Hopi when he was down there, he said he got to try out all these different machines, because it was a bid thing. This year it's a Case, next year it could be a Cat or a John Deere, and they just got to try all these new machines all the time. They loved it, but I don't know whether they'll offer that to the town, but I will look into
yeah,
that.
thanks.
That would be pretty awesome, but.
It certainly would, but I don't think they do it for the towns, but it's worth checking into.
While you're standing right there, I'm gonna go a little bit out of order. I was gonna ask you a question anyway. Do we have somebody running the grader?
No, me,
I was gonna say, I can tell there's nobody running it. Every dirt road I've driven on,
they're terrible.
They are?
Absolutely horrible.
absolutely horrible.
I just.
Do we have a plan?
Being a guy short, they're just.
No, I get that. That's why I haven't asked you previously, but they're really
pretty
getting bad.
tough. Very tough.
I don't remember which one I was on the other day, but I hit a pothole that I thought I was gonna roll over in.
Yeah, slow down.
I don't drive fast anyway.
You're sticking around for non-public?
Yes.
Okay, we have some information for you on that front,
On what?
and we'll talk to you.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Yep. All right, moving on to the financial folder. We have a request for payment from the Ashwillet Rail Trail Fund. First one there's 3 payments all in one from this fund. First one's to Bill Patnode Excavating for $6,000. One to the Winchester Trail Riders, 2 to the Winchester Trail Riders. One for $500 and one for $996.75.
Make a motion to approve those.
Second.
No other discussion on those? Dean, you weren't here to speak on these, were you? You were not here to speak on these, were you?
If there was any questions, that's why I came.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries? Nope, no questions. Thank you, Dean. Next is a request for payment out of the Church Steeple Repair Fund for Scully Architects for $250.
Make a motion to approve.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Next is five payments total on 2 different forms, all out of the cemetery building donation checking account. We have Aubuchon Hardware for $206.40, and 2 for Hamshaw Lumber, one for $3,504.32, and one for $66.38. Then one to WB Mason Company for $867.95, and another one to Aubuchon's for $92.39.
Is that, what's your total on that, or no? I didn't see one.
Totals, one of them, the total amount of 2 payments was $960.34, and the other one is $3,777.10. So there's been a motion, is there a second?
Yes, sir.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
Gary, could you give us for Tuesday, could you give us an update on total numbers so far? Total numbers so far for the new building out the cemetery? Please.
And the last thing in this folder is request from Amy on the ambulance budget.
didn't see that.
She's asking us to transfer, to be able to transfer money from the ambulance checking account to the payroll line item for reimbursement on the payroll line item, because the previous motion that we made was to, just reimburse their operating budget. Wait a minute. I would think payroll would be included in that, but, so, yeah. She just wants permission to reimburse the payroll line items out of the ambulance checking account.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. That is everything in there. Yeah, that's everything in the folder. I did want to say real quick before I turn it over to the rest of the board. We had announced and we intended to set the tax rate tonight. However, the school numbers were not ready, so we have to postpone that, and we'll end up having to call a special meeting, and it'll be posted when we finally have the numbers so that we can call that meeting. So we will not be setting the tax rate tonight now. Other than that, I didn't have anything else. Does anybody else from the board have anything?
We need to approve that money for the tannery, the brush hogging over there.
Oh, yeah, we discussed that, but we wanted to, yeah. I don't have that in front of me. That was $9,500. $9,500?
98, it's 98.
Oh, 98.
9,800, yeah.
What line item was that coming out of?
That's coming out of,
Amy took it out.
Yeah.
Found the money for it. That's what our question
Right.
was, what we're gonna pay for it. for
right,
Amy found it.
right. So, it's-
I'll make a motion to approve that. I'll second that.
What's the time frame? When can he do it?
I don't have to check back to him. He was gonna start right off as soon as we.
Is he
okayed
still
it.
in town?
Yeah, he's still hauling gravel somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was still doing the trails.
I think he's
He's
done.
done with that, yeah.
I think he's done with that part now
Yeah.
that they've done.
Okay.
And the other thing is, we,
well, wait a minute. The motion was made and seconded. You got that, Carrie? Okay. Any other discussion on that? In favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. What was the other thing?
the town vehicle for code enforcement, building inspector.
Yep.
We found one, so we just need to, like to make a motion to approve that $11,000 to purchase that.
Yep, and that was 2014 or 15?
15. Yeah.
15,
Ford Escape.
Ford Escape.
Yeah.
Uh,
Was it? Okay. I thought it was 15, but
I did too for some reason.
you still have the paperwork?
Yeah, it's in the office.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, we can clarify the year of it.
Hey, right, I mean, they brought it to town, everybody drove it, test drove it. Really nice vehicle, should last quite a while, quite a few years. So you made that motion,
yes.
I second.
and Channy seconded that. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. From the board? No? At this time, I'll open it up to for the 15 minutes of public comment.
Lindsay Pickard, 96 Richmond Road. Just a couple of things. One, there was a conversation that happened about how you were going to do a water abatement and you were concerned about, what happens with the next abatement request. Just a suggestion, perhaps you want to come up with a policy so that you have certain criteria that once those criteria are met, it is an abatement, and that way you know, in the future, there can't be a call, well, this person got it, but I didn't. Just a suggestion. Your non-public minutes from the 12th. I'm used to seeing some kind of brief summary as to what the non-public was about. For instance, you went under lowercase e, so, but there was nothing in your minutes, you know, giving a brief, you were there for.
Those minutes were sealed, that's why.
No, I know, but even in a sealed, sometimes you might say we were in for litigation or to discuss a lawsuit, so that there's just a little blurb about what you were under for.
No, we were just E, which is with legal proceedings.
Okay, so that's all you could say in your minutes in case somebody doesn't know what lowercase e stands for under the RSA. And then along with that, you didn't set any time frame for the minutes being sealed. So when will those minutes be available, or will you be reviewing them to reseal them in the future?
When they'll be available is unknown at this point. It's a continuing legal.
So in the case where you're going to seal minutes, perhaps you want to just give a little more explanation as to how long they would be sealed, and then if you're going to review them. So for instance, when the school board seals minutes, we typically seal for a set amount of time, and then the board reviews those sealed minutes to determine if they need to be sealed again because the issue hasn't been resolved, and or if they can be unsealed and then posted. I sat here through a lot of your budget planning, and prior to your budget planning, I had asked if the board had a capital plan, something to reference that supports kind of where you're going with your budget, and I was given kind of an offhanded comment that there's a plan. So I looked on the website, and I did come up with the master plan, with the last time it was updated was 2008. And in your master plan, it recommends that you review it every 5 years. Throughout the entire budget planning process, I never heard one reference to the master plan or any kind of future planning for Winchester. So I would ask that perhaps the board, whether that's the select board or whether you're going to push that back to subcommittee, take out your master plan and review it. Interestingly enough, in your master plan, listed under Vision for Winchester, the second, support the needs of the community by promoting excellent schools, high-quality childcare, social opportunities, and recreations for children and families, senior housing and elder care, and support services for those in need. Last night at the budget committee meeting, I didn't hear any of that. In fact, I heard just the opposite from the select board, some members of the select board. So perhaps the master plan should be reviewed. My last comment is about COVID. I've been up here a number of times. I've talked about the leadership. The current new cases per 100,000 average is 24. To offer some perspective, the school will shut down at 10 or more, and at this point we haven't decided when we will be able to go back. But until there's some consistency within our town to support and ensure that we're doing everything we can to keep those numbers going down, the school is going to struggle to reopen.
Thank you.
Hello, Natalie Cavedo, 112 Ashwellet Street. I just wanted to circle back to that grant. How much that expired? Carrie, I did look up which one you guys applied for, thank you. But what was the total amount for that grant that you applied for? That you received? $102,729. How much did you use of that grant? All of it? You did? Okay. Was any of that used to help our local businesses for abatements? No, okay. So the select board didn't use any of that money to actually help our local businesses, correct? Yes? Okay. The next thing I just wanted to talk about is COVID. So Jack Marsh, you asked me yesterday, If I tested negative for COVID, first of all, I don't know how you knew that I was exposed to COVID, but you asked if I tested negative because I was sitting in this building yesterday with everybody else. If you truly believe that everybody's going to take care of themselves and that the board should not have put any policies in place, what was to stop me from coming into this building yesterday and exposing all of you to COVID?
What was the question? I can't understand the word you're saying.
Common sense, I would say.
Common sense? Okay. Would you think that everybody in this town has common sense?
Probably not.
Does your son have common sense? Wasn't he exposed to COVID as well?
Yeah.
And he was in and out of multiple buildings this week? I would just suggest that the select board really puts in place some sort of, mandate or a suggestion. Doesn't have to be written in stone. A suggestion that would protect all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public?
So I know you guys have probably already done the newsletter, or you voted on doing the newsletter. I kind of think it's a waste of time. I mean, we're not seeing it on the news. It's kind of a waste of money. And you can't really tell anybody what to do on their personal property. And then just for the closing of the town, I mean, I guess you guys are doing the outside thing, so that's all right, but just a thought, I can go to the grocery store. Why can't I go into the town and do my town stuff? Especially since you guys are still doing the one way, I believe. So we're not bumping into anybody. And then yes, the cases are up in town, but the death rate is still low. So let's not take that into consideration. I mean, it's a contagious virus. It is going to go around. It's kind of common sense. So let's not be freaked out by cases going up. Let's pay attention to the death rate and recoveries. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public? Oh, did you have something for?
Yeah, you had asked to bring a job description.
Oh. Well, what Mike's referring to is, and one day when I was on the phone with Mike about something anyway, I told him that if and when he came back in about the advocacy program that he would like to start, that it would definitely be a lot more helpful to think about it if we had some sort of job description of what this position would be doing.
So not only is there are we supposed to introduce ourselves? I'm Chief Mike Tillett, Town of Winchester. So I put together a job description as well as about, I think, 9 or 10 frequently asked questions on this police department social worker position. And basically at this point, I'm still asking to fund the position, which would be $25,000. And if the board does not want to do that, maybe the board could put it to the town voters to see what they think, come the springtime elections. And then also tonight, I asked Colleen Duquette to come here, who is a social worker with DCYF, supervisor out of the Keene office, in case you have questions about any of this. But hopefully the frequently asked questions sheet that's walking around or going around answers some of the questions.